Hey, this is Dan Green, and I am so excited because today I get to meet two people who I've been really looking forward to meeting, and guess what? You get to meet them too. I'm not going to tell you who they are. I'm going to show you. Come on. It's going to be great. You're going to love this. Hello!
Hello!
The French Yugi! Hello! Hey, the German Yugi!
Hi!
All right, thanks for coming by, guys.
Oh my God.
What do you think of my place?
It's amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah, okay, I lied. It's not really my place. It's Kaipa's. But I thought it'd be great if we could get to know each other a little bit. Yeah. And I can hear some of your stories about what this whole process has been about. I mean, the early days of Yu-Gi-Oh started over 25 years ago or something like that.
It has been a while, yeah.
Yeah, and our shows, and it's just been such a wonderful experience for me. I'm sure you guys have a lot of great stories to share as well.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, well, hey, let's get to know each other and we'll have a seat, okay? So way back when I first started doing this Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, I had no expectation that so many things were ahead of me, so many wonderful things, like meeting you guys.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's great to be here in Paris and having such an awesome time. And I'm just really grateful to have a chance to see my counterparts from other countries. So.
Yeah, it's really nice to meet you too. And welcome to Paris.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I would have always expected that we do this a little bit earlier, so I'm really excited that we do it now. I mean, like, and it really brings you back to these like beginning times, the early days of Yu-Gi-Oh.
25 years ago,
Yeah,
the game.
oh my God.
Right. The video games, and it became such a thing. But we were so lucky.
Did you play to the video games, the early days?
You know, I was playing other video games,
Okay.
but I did get a chance to actually play the card game. But tell me, look, so and you can answer as you will. But so, like, what was the moments leading up to being cast as Yugi? What was that like for you?
Well, I went out of the school and I
So
was
you,
doing
you,
some.
You were trained as an actor at a
In Belgium, in Brussels, I was doing my school, and then a friend called me back to called me to pass the casting, to get a casting, and they were looking for two guys, different guys. So they were on
for the
Yugi and the
Yami
Yami guy. But so I tried both of them.
Right.
And people, they called me back and they said, we want these two guys, these two different guys. And I said, oh, it's cool for me, it's me, it's just me for the both of you. So the beginning for me.
That's awesome. Yeah. And was that the first dubbing thing you?
No, I was acting on some movies and I met Jet Li. Because I was practicing martial arts, So I made different things like that, from the license to manga.
Sure.
Yugi was the second one, the third one.
So you had some experience going into it, yeah.
Yeah, I really liked it.
It's
a technique. It's a technique,
Sure.
But it's another part of our job.
Yeah. My usual response to people asking how is it doing that stuff, and I say it's way better than a real job. But Konrad, tell me how did you get in it?
So that's a really interesting thing that they were thinking about splitting Yugi into Yugi and Yami Yugi, because that's what actually happened in Germany. So in Germany, there are two voice actors, one for Yugi, that's me, and then there is a voice actor for Yami Yugi.
Okay.
And I think, and that's why, for example, like I'm now in my early 40s. I was like, I don't know, 18, 19 when we did that.
Amazing
and
job
they
to
wanted
have.
to look for somebody who has like this really light, high-pitched voice.
Sure.
And so they cast me for Yugi. And that was really interesting because I had worked already on a few animes before, but this was the time when in Germany, the first time animes became great.
Okay.
So it was this wave, and
you
I
were
would say,
part of the spike of the
There was
popularity.
this wave, and I would say like Yu-Gi-Oh dominated every kid's room at that time, like from consoles to video games to like card games. It was
So many games.
present. It was so present everywhere.
Yeah.
And I got really lucky, and it was fantastic that I got cast for that.
So you got cards at the beginning?
Yeah, at the beginning. Yeah. So like I don't know how many people they cast for that. I don't. But
Right.
I just lucked out. Yeah.
Okay.
And, made me very happy. And I mean, it's something, I don't know how it is for you guys, but it is one of the projects, or probably the project which just stays with you the entire time. I mean, like
Oh.
over 20 years have passed,
Sure.
but it's still with us, and that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah,
But now one question: how did you get cast?
There was a guy who got cast, and I stole the role right out of
You
his
told me
script.
yesterday. Yeah.
That's right. But don't tell anybody that's what
No.
happened, because that's
That's
a
our little
crime.
secret.
We won't tell.
And you shouldn't do crimes. No. But actually, I wasn't the first choice. A good friend of mine got cast, and I had done some other stuff in anime. And he decided to do other things with his career at that time. And so I guess I was the default or the second choice. But sometimes second choices are so bad.
And you turned out to be the perfect choice. There you go.
Right.
Was it easier to do the Yugi's voice or Yami's voice?
Right. So for me, I was 31, I guess, at the time I was cast. And so for me, at that age, Yami was closer to my natural sound. And if you listen to the American, Yami's voice gets lower as the series goes. and then depending on which director I'm working with, they're like, no, Yugi needs to be higher. And then Yugi needs to be even higher. And I'm like, look, I can stand on a stool, but that's about as far as I can go. But yeah.
It was easier for me to do Yugi at the beginning.
Right.
And Yami was more difficult, but not
So much. So.
And how is it for you guys nowadays? Because, for example, I had this thing at a convention this year where there was this guy my age. He said, like, yeah, come on, do the Yugi voice. And then he looked at me like, oh, yeah, that's pretty close, but do the Yugi voice. And I'm like, getting higher, and it's like, and it's like, and then I told him like, yeah, but it's nearly 25 years. Like,
Right.
of course, in the early days of this time, I could still do it, like that was
Right.
still possible.
Sure.
But I have aged a little bit.
Yeah.
And then finally he came around, was like, okay,
He let you off the hook?
you are Yugi, it is okay.
It's a strange thing that happens in convention for me, because I heard one guy said, "It's not him. It's not him."
But it is me.
You know,
Right.
when you get an open space like this,
Yeah.
a lot of 1,000 people, and you have to do some voice with a mic, and it's not good sound, and
Sure.
But
you know,
Yeah, there's
it's difficult to get it right in.
Being a part of Yu-Gi-Oh, there's so much to it. The video games, back in the early days, also the cards. I mean, just the artwork. I love artwork.
Absolutely.
And they just look cool. But what was one of your favorite parts of the show? Either you can take that question any way you like. What, like as a story, or just like moments that would often happen in a show? What are some of your favorite things?
One of my favorites is it's a sad things in Yugi when he's crying.
Sure.
Just a part of the show when his grandfather, he stole the cards, and Kaiba was stolen the car.
Yeah, Blue Eye.
And and he was crying a little bit, and all of us in the studio, we were taken by the situation. So this is one of the things, but most of the time it's friendship, the moral.
Yeah.
You got in it. That's it. It's good things,
Absolutely. There are lots of good values and themes in there.
good values.
I would say, like, for me, the main topic which I found interesting was to overcome adversity, to overcome a challenge. And
Yeah.
in this case, it is like, in the beginning, Yugi is not the strongest guy, not even in his group. Like, he's not the strongest player in this entire world. And he could be perceived as weak, or like that like there are stronger people around him. But step by step, through his friends, working with other people, he overcomes these challenges. And in the end, he's der König der Spiele, the king of the game. So like, he overcomes everybody. He's even stronger than the Pharaoh because he wins.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiling a little bit.
Spoiler
because
alert.
he wins in the end. And so like, there's this arc, this clear arc where when you work on yourself and when you stay true to yourself and work with friends around you, you could overcome everything.
Yeah.
I think that's the overarching theme of the show.
Yeah, whenever anybody asks me what's my favorite episode, or I always say something similar to that. I can't choose, because what I most admire is the totality of the entire story and how
Construct story.
absolutely, and it has a beginning and a middle and an end. And I think Yu-Gi-Oh is so classy to have stuck with that. That those two characters, Yami and Yugi, really inform each other. It's not just that Yami makes Yugi more confident.
Yeah.
It's that Yugi makes Yami more open-hearted.
Yeah.
Right. And in the manga, Yami's can be really intense. But and it's just a privilege to be a part of a story that actually. Oh, and another thing that I love about the conclusion of the series is that it leaves the audience with a universal theme, like a fairy tale does. Because at some point in your life, you're gonna have to let go of somebody you care about. And in the
Absolutely,
context of the show, it's not a tragic thing, right? It's good for Yami to go on.
It's good for
but
all
it
of
still
them.
breaks your heart.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that what I found very interesting too is that this theme of friendship, it is so strong in the show. And I think that this was one thing which really motivated the people to continue with the show, and that's why they cherish it until this day. Because
power of
I think,
friendship.
the power of friendship, that is the main theme, basically.
So we were talking about these more meaningful elements, these themes to the story. Was there anything about the series that contributed to like a life lesson or something that informed the way that you approached? I mean, we're going back way from the early days when we were all a lot younger.
Yeah.
But it's lived with us for so long.
But this is the things. I think I grew up from the early days. I grew up with this moral and virtues and things like friendship. And I remember in the studio, the crew, like Joey, the guys, it's a friend of mine now. I gotta always.
I'm friends with my Joey. Now.
Yeah.
He's one of my best
We're
friends.
still friends. And 25 years ago, and we were in the studio like family. Yeah, we were learning things about life, you know.
Yeah.
And it's great things that happens at moments.
So that is really interesting because that's absolutely the case in Germany too. So the voice actors I work with, they're still not only colleagues, they're friends of mine. So yeah, this friendship never went away. But I think like this overcoming a challenge thing that stuck with me too. Like this really hit a chord that even if you're the underdog, even if you think like you're not gonna make it, just continue doing it. Just like never give up. And that spirit was really meaningful because they portrayed it. I think in other media, sometimes it gets a cynical note, and they didn't do that. They really stayed true to it and like, hey, if you don't give up, you can really move mountains. Like you can.
That reminds me of my favorite quote, which is, "Believe in yourself and you will always prevail."
Yeah.
And the way I interpret that is, it's not that you're going to win every time.
No.
But believing in yourself is the first step to your next victory.
Yeah.
You have to start with that.
And at least you will come out of it with your head high up.
Right.
So like,
and you don't really lose if you never give up.
Yeah.
In France, you got a sentence like this. You have to fall 7 times before you get up 8. You know?
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah. That's exactly the same idea.
This is the thing I have in mind. So
Get
you
it
have to
back up.
try it and do it again and again.
But one thing I found really fascinating was at a convention where I met a woman in her maybe late 20s, and she's an archaeologist now.
Oh, cool.
And why is she an archaeologist? Because of Yugi.
grandma.
Yeah,
I've
So she's working on projects
Right.
in Egypt and other countries, digging up our history, like helping us all
seeing
understanding
how
the
this
world better
show has-
because she watched Yu-Gi-Oh! And
Yeah.
that is fantastic because sometimes you have people who think like, oh, that's a kid's show. And of course it is a kid's show.
Well, it is.
It is, but
that
at the
does-
same time, you instill values and ideas in young people. And I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Really did a great job to show like, hey, these are a few things,
Yeah.
go with them.
I've heard the same story in France.
Oh,
That
really?
some people of
That's
getting
already true. They should work
archaeologists-
together.
Some people getting archaeologists are interesting in the Egyptian things. You know?
Yeah.
So the earliest days of being able to play any kind of Yu-Gi-Oh! Game goes back over 25 years.
Yeah.
For us performing the character, that's not quite as long because the anime came out a little bit later. But did you guys have any idea that we would be talking about this so many years later? That it would have become such a popular and such a well-embraced and well-loved show or franchise? Did you anticipate that at all? Did you know you were into something that was going to be that big?
Come on, go first. Go
Okay, not exactly. Not in the first episodes. I thought it was a perfectly executed, really great show, and I thought it would be a successful kids show. But I don't know how it was in the United States. I don't know exactly how it was in France. I expected it was the same level of magnitude because it was like an earthquake. Like seriously, after the first season, and every single school in Germany, kids were only playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. That was probably the only time in the history of Germany that kids wanted to stay longer in school because they wanted to play afterwards with their friends.
Right.
It was like the only topic in every schoolyard. Everybody was collecting the cards, watching the show. It was basically the only thing which kids did in their free time after going to school. And I didn't expect it to be this big.
Right.
Definitely not, because,
Yeah.
I got we got the feeling at the very beginning, you know, of the that it's a good license, good things, and we don't know what will become.
Yeah.
Yeah, but episode after episodes, you know, we've seen the construction of the story, and we've seen the passionate fan that begins to play with cards, and it becomes tremendous. You know,
Oh, yeah.
becomes really a huge thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So no, I don't have the idea that more than 25 years ago, after we will talk about this.
Yeah.
But I understand why. I understand. As I said, the Egyptian things, the artworks, the cards, effectively. So
I think it's so amazing.
it's a huge thing.
How is it for you? Like, how was it in the States?
Well, I often tell people, when I have the great privilege of meeting so many people in this community, and sharing such wonderful stories about how they made friends after school, and they felt like maybe they were on the outside. I had one guy. I get a lot of, for playing Yugi. There's people who like say you were helpful. That role was helpful to me because I was bullied when I was in school. A guy shared with me that he used to be the bully, and that show taught him different, and it's amazing what people get from that story and from those characters. And when people ask me, I had no idea that I was a part of something that would be cherished in the way that the show is. And when the series became popular, and you don't necessarily expect that to happen, but that was great. After it concluded, I thought, well, that's probably it. And here we are.
Yeah,
It's
I got
amazing.
the story. It's strange that there's some stories.
How people respond?
How people respond.
How they receive
And during the COVID, I made some videos with some guys, and they say the same things. You saved my life. Yugi saved my life.
You saved my life
Because
a lot.
Yeah, and because of the friendship in the story.
Sure.
He was a younger guy, a bullied guy, and then he finds some confidence in doing some gameplay.
Right.
With older people, and they accepted him as he was.
That's
you know?
great.
So
That's great.
I have one story which I found absolutely fascinating. It's a very European story. So I went this year to a convention in Austria, and I'm sitting there signing autographs, taking photos, talking to people, and then a guy approaches me and was there for an autograph, and he was maybe a bit younger than me, and he talks to me in English and tells me that I'm his childhood hero, and I'm. How does that make sense? Because that should be you, right?
Right.
But he was from Slovenia, which is right around the corner from where I was, and in that country, the show was aired in German.
Gotcha.
With subtitles. And of course, he understands German. He cannot speak it, but when he listens to it, he understands it. And he made his way from Slovenia to this convention to tell me, like, hey, I went through a tough time during these years.
Right.
And Yu-Gi-Oh! Really helped me. And I was like, this was so heartwarming because it brought people together from different countries, even with like different native languages. And I thought,
amazing.
that is amazing. That is so cool.
this is the great things. It's reunited people.
Oh,
Yeah, 100%.
And they play,
for sure.
for them growing,
Yeah.
for them learning values.
Yeah.
This is the huge thing in Yu-Gi-Oh.
And
Yeah.
now, for example, if you look at this, like, I mean, the show was connecting people, and now you have this in games too. Like that, the games are bringing people together. You can play now online. A guy from Japan can challenge somebody from New York, and I think that is fascinating.
Oh,
That it's
it's
not only
extraordinary.
your circle of friends, you're in your home city, but now you can duel anybody on the planet.
Then that playing the game can be such a social and connective thing is really extraordinary. And you don't see that with everything. Not every video game or card game does that.
Particularly with the early days collection now.
Yeah.
I think,
Bringing it all back.
and we can try it.
Right.
Yeah.
that
We
would
should
be fun.
try it.
I feel like we should all be collectively the king of all of them.
Absolutely. We can have a discussion about this later. Who is the king of the games?
Yeah.
How is it in English? It's king.
The king of games.
The king of games.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's such a cool title. I've been trying to find a way to slide that into conversation. Still looking for the right one.
No.
But I am the king of games. But just to touch on that thing where we were receiving such heartfelt, stories, from people. And anytime somebody said something like, you saved my life, right? You want to be there for them and you want to hear them out because it's really their moment.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
And and for once we get to be the audience,
Yeah.
right? But I always try to make the point that, and I understand what they mean by that. We all have things that help get us through hard times. But I always try to make the point that, no, you did that.
Yeah.
You made those steps. You know, I'm just glad to be a part of something that helped.
Yeah,
you know?
this is it's true. It's true. The thing of the job we are doing is to give something to people.
That's why we act.
Yeah,
give a canvas,
this is the
basically.
essential things.
Yeah.
That's why we act.
Yeah.
So when more than 25 years after you got this as a recognition, it's good things for people to learn that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like playing some games.
We should do that.
Yeah,
I'm up for
that's
some
what
games.
I
I'm up
was
for some
talking
games.
about.
Yeah.
The Yugis, we're all one line. Okay, so
Yeah.
as we are all Yugis,
Yeah.
I know you believe in the heart of the cards.
Absolutely, 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
We are mutually the king of games.
Agreed, yeah.
But what about these games?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you got them.
The
All
next
your
level.
nostalgia from the early days right here.
Yeah. Okay. Can I?
Please, please.
Can I see it? So we got
So,
the dozen of.
Oh, wow,
so
yeah.
they are really like the first games, like really
It's
from
just
25 years ago.
like
Everything
the-
in there. Okay,
This
Yeah.
Jewel Monster.
wow.
I remember some of these covers.
2005.
The World Championship.
Yeah.
Destiny Board Traveler. World Championship.
Just one question, like, so I know that you have dabbled a little bit with the cards, that you have played a
Yeah.
tiny bit, but have you played one of these games already? Like, for example, I know.
I've recorded for Duel Links and
Yeah.
any of the other ones as well, but I mean, the ones that require us,
Yeah.
right? But apparently just the cards and getting beaten by a 10-year-old is about what I got going on.
That is the best experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, Duel Links, that was really interesting because I played this a little bit at a convention, so that was fun.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, that's one of the newer games, right? I mean, like,
Yeah, you knew it.
yeah, and now it's interesting to really like dive back into the 90s and the 0 years and get the full...
Duel Links get me. It's been several years even since
Yeah.
that first came out.
Yeah,
and I mean, just how much time this has spanned is fantastic.
Incredible.
Yeah,
And-
I love the nostalgic value.
What do you
This
think?
is what I said. This one is iconic. For example, Kaiba deck.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Battle of Great Duelist. I remember some art of the game, the old school game. You know,
Oh yeah.
I'm enjoying it.
What's interesting is like basically like you have the entire experience, like all games in one. And I remember that as a child, I had a handheld device, and once I got a game where there were a lot of games in one game, and it was my most cherished treasure because I thought it's so cool that you have this thing which brings everything into just like one disc.
Tension Dice Monster.
Wow.
Oh sure.
Foul.
Dimension the dice.
What is
Duel
this one?
Monster.
Duel
This
Monster
is
6.
Expert 2.
Expert 2. That sounds
Sacred
really
Cards.
complicated.
You know, Rishi for Destruction.
We should definitely have a look at one of these games later.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Then we can figure out who
right.
the real king of games is.
Well, I think that's a challenge. just
That's
for
a
down
challenge,
there.
yeah. I've thrown out there. No, like I gotta lose. That most definitely.
We have to
Or we
play
can-
against the bad one.
We should, yeah. Or we team up against Kaiba.
Yeah, this is why I say, you know.
I have a little game in mind, actually.
Okay.
Something a little bit different. So it's so fun for me to meet you guys,
Yeah.
and I want
too.
to. I want to hear how you say some of the lines that I'm familiar
Okay.
with as these characters. Okay, so I'll say it, and then you do it in your language, and you do
Okay.
it in your.
Okay, now I'm curious. Bring it
Okay, so we'll start with some Yugi, some basic stuff. Okay, you ready? Grandpa said I could always believe in the heart of the cards.
In French, it's Il faut croire en l'âme des cartes.
All right.
Großvater hat mir gesagt, dass ich immer an das Herz der Karten glauben muss.
Wow. Wow.
That was a mouthful.
All right, now your turn. You ask.
Okay, ja. Ich spiele den schwarzen Magier im Angriffsmodus.
And now you'll have to translate for that
Yeah.
because I'm not bilingual.
I would assume probably I'm playing the Dark Magician in attack
Okay,
mode.
right, you're-
Okay.
Yeah.
You do it.
So,
You-
okay,
you
in
do it.
French. So it's a yummy card, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And I say, it says, Et j'invoque le magicien des ténèbres.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh.
I'm impressed.
I play Dark Magician in attack mode.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
I'm frightened.
Surprise you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey. Okay,
So,
but now
you give us one.
you
You
do
give
one.
us one.
The most iconic one. Okay? C'est l'heure du duel.
Ah, even I know that
Yeah.
as an American.
Yeah, okay.
You go though.
Okay. Es ist Zeit für ein Duell.
Okay.
It's time to duel.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And what else? What, like, yeah, these.
We should just do the whole series.
We should dub
Go
out the
back
entire
to
series.
the early
Exactly.
days.
Go back to the studio. Switch up the roles a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do the German part. I would say.
Why not? I'm so good at German. I've never spoken it before, but I'm sure it can't be that hard.
Oh,
No, but this has been such a good time.
fantastic.
thank you.
Yeah, and I'm glad we could actually, link up and get to know each other a little bit, and it's such a privilege to be a part of this wonderful story.
Yeah.
And getting to meet you guys is just, an added bonus. So thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
too.
thanks to everyone who's been watching. I mean, we are so fortunate to have your affection and your attention.
Yeah.
It would be nothing without you guys, honestly.
It was fantastic to be here. And if you have any comments about your favorite nostalgic Yu-Gi-Oh game, please leave a comment. And we got to figure out for ourselves which is our favorite game. So,
Yeah, and follow us for more.
Yeah, follow the channel for
Yeah.
the latest Yu-Gi-Oh
Yeah.
news.
Yeah,
okay.
Thanks so much.
yeah.
And thanks you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we're out of here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye bye.
As we say in the United States, farewell.
Yeah.
And
À bientôt.
Auf Wiedersehen.